Price to keep Brian Branch just went up. We'll get to how big a priority he is in the 9 o'clock hour. Just did Fact or Fiction. Brought up Marcus Davenport, a guy that the Lions are going to be banking on. Still got one roster spot, John, but the 2 defensive linemen they added yesterday, nothing burgers. Undrafted dudes, interior guy. They're going to be leaning on Marcus Davenport. And I'll ask you, does Brad Holmes love Marcus Davenport just a little too much?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the strategy is, because if you start the season and they add a 53rd and it's not Za'Darius or it's not another edge, the question I have is not, we know even if you have Za'Darius, you're going to get double teams on Aiden Hutchinson. The problem is Aiden Hutchinson doesn't just have to be used as an edge guy. He can also be used as a defensive tackle if you've got a matchup that you like against a guard, either one on both sides of the line. So if you've only got 3 edge guys, are you telling me that if you want to, take advantage of one of those matchups, that one end is going to be Marcus Davenport, the other one's going to be, either Wheat or Lacey?
Well,
that makes no sense to me.
So Lacey's a former 4th-round pick. He played mostly interior. Could be a heavier edge, but again, not a true up-the-field pass rush guy. And then Tyrus Wheat, he was an undrafted guy. He plays edge, but they're telling you we believe in Marcus Davenport, that we view him as the bookend to Aiden Hutchinson. And there's 2 problems. One, he never stays healthy. He's played 6 games the last 2 years. And even when he is healthy, John, his last 19 games, he has 3 total sacks. Even when he's healthy, he's not very good.
And are they banking on, because Josh Paschal can't be there for the first 4 games, so who knows if he's there week 5 or how long it takes for him to come back. It's mystery of why he's out.
Yeah.
Are you banking on Marcus Davenport to give you 5 games until Paschal comes?
Well, I want both of them, right?
Right, but that's the issue is it just seems insufficient. And with one roster spot still available, I gotta believe, and I've been harping on this since before training camp. I didn't think Za'Darius was going to be there during training camp. Now we are literally 10 days away from the start of the Lions football season. At some point, he needs to be in those meetings and on the practice field.
When they brought Marcus Davenport back, it's a very small commitment. It's a 1-year deal, and it's financially, it's a very low amount of money, right? It's like, what is it, like a...
It's $1.5 million, and then there's some incentives.
And when they brought him back, I didn't like that they brought him back. But a good friend of mine, John Jansen, said, don't worry, they're going to add more. I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
We're all still waiting. I'm not trying to, beat you up about it. It was April, and I do that thing where I jump the gun and you do the let it play out thing, and we're about to let it play out all the way to the start of the season, and Marcus Davenport is not only the starting defensive end, he's one of only 4. And, John, they don't have anybody proven.
I know, and that's where I raised an eyebrow, and I know, every time that we have or anybody has asked Brad Holmes about an edge opposite Aiden Hutchinson, okay, you're not going to have Trey Hendrickson. You're not going to have Myles Garrett. You're not going to have anyone of that ilk. I understand that. But if you don't have a competent individual that can be healthy, that you can count on for 17 games, or somebody behind them, if Marcus Davenport goes down in week 2, it's Aiden Hutchinson and Al-Quadin Muhammad, and then nothing else.
Right. So when you look, they're fortunate Aiden is a workhorse and plays like 95% of snaps. It's one of the great things about Aiden Hutchinson. But you need to be able to rotate guys in to keep them fresh, and they don't have the bodies. And they went through that rash of injuries last year. I don't expect it to be as bad, but at the same time, learn your lesson, have some options. Davenport doesn't stay healthy, and when he does, he's not overly productive. And we got to go back 3 years. It'll be 4 years since he had a big-time, impactful season.
And there are a lot of guys that show up to training. We hear it in baseball all the time, right? Spring training. Oh, he showed up in the best condition he's been in years. Well, there are guys that show up and they look great in their pads. And for a handful of practices, you're like, wow, this could be our answer. The issue is the resume. The issue is the track record. where you can't stay healthy. And to your point, when he has been healthy, he has not been productive for 3 years.
So when Pascal comes back, and what do we think the timeline is? Campbell said longer than they initially thought.
Right.
Can I say at least like a month?
Well, so he has to be out for 4 games because they put him on the list that,
But if I said like 4 or 5 games, what happens if someone gets hurt at the edge position in game? It doesn't do you any good to go, well, we'll figure it out on Monday. I got to hit the quarterback on 3rd down in the 3rd quarter at the end of the game. I want Za'Darius or somebody a little more proven to be able to buckle up a chin strap and go in and not go, well, we'll figure it out next week. Go into the game with the tools to get it done.
I've got to believe whether it's Za'Darius or
Clowney?
It's a trade, or it could be Clowney. Or yeah, that's another good option. It's that 53, that 53rd spot will be filled with an edge that is better than what they have on the roster now.
Is it possible that Brad Holmes is just infatuated by Davenport, sees it as 6'6", thinks about the upside if he stays healthy, and is putting the blinders on? Or we had Stoney call in, a wonderful call from Stoney. He said, could it be Dan Campbell, who knows him from the days in New Orleans? But at that point, Holmes has to step in and go, Dan, you've got Davenport, you love him. I'm going to help you out and just give you one more body just in case.
I mean, both. I mean, yes, it could be true that Dan he was there when he had that great year. Mm-hmm. It's possible, but I think Dan is very realistic in regards to understanding how hurt guys can get. And Davenport has been a guy that, even last year, and I know, like, I was asked on Twitch about a guy that's in the locker room that's always hurt. Does it affect locker room dynamics? And it can, but in this case, I don't think it does because, one, he's not making a lot. If there's a guy that's making a lot and he's always hurt, that becomes a different issue.
Sore subject.
But if there is a guy that is always, hey, he's got a strained toe or it's a bad finger and he's not playing, depending on the position, like the questionable injuries where guys say, well, if I had that injury, I'd be playing. That's where there becomes a locker room issue. His issue last year was a torn tricep. Okay, you're out. You're done. Like, there's no question there. So I don't think it's a locker room issue. The issue is you're looking around going, who is going to fill that role? What are we going to do in game if Marcus Davenport goes down in the first quarter of the first game?
Yeah. Ticket text. They don't want an edge opposite Hutch to sack the quarterback. They want a body to set a hard edge. It seems incredibly obtuse, but that's what Brad Holmes wants. You should be bringing pressure from both edges. You should be trying to disrupt and move the pocket and create uncomfortable situations from the quarterback from all angles. And they did it a little bit through blitzing, but ideally you don't have to.
You just minimize. Hutch is going to be dominant in a lot of different ways, but you minimize his dominance if all they have to do to worry about the Lions' pass rush is try and slow down Aiden Hutchinson. If there is never a concern about anything that's happened on the opposite side, then we are going to set a tight end there. We're going to not only set a tight end there, but we're going to bring a receiver in motion. We'll bring a back. We're going to go waggle, and we'll bring another guard over. Like, we're going to run away from. There are so many different ways that you can minimize the impact of one dominant pass rusher because there's no one else that you're worried about. They don't even worry about Aleem McNeil because Aleem McNeil's not going to be there until, at the best, maybe 1st of November.
Right.
And we don't know what Tyleik Williams is going to be as a pass rusher. DJ Reader can push the pocket, but he's not a dominant pass rusher.
No, they'll tell you like both those guys are sneaky good pass rushers in that they're viewed as like space eater run stuffers. And maybe they're a little better than you give them credit for, but they're not considered to be premium interior pass rush guys. And without Aleem McNeil, you're right, they're at a short supply right now outside of Aiden Hutchinson. Ticket Texter says Brad is looking at the clearance section like his buddy Scott Harris. We already had the comparison Davenport to Alex Cobb today. Crush the can is their philosophy. 2 edge rushers don't really exist in the NFL outside of a few examples like Houston.
Yes, I understand that, but the issue is you're minimizing the effectiveness of Aiden Hutchinson, and he is really good at being placed at any 4 positions on that defensive front. And if you aren't able to put him over a guard where you believe you can get a great mismatch, then you're forced with, because if that happens, like I mentioned earlier, it's Al-Quadin Muhammad on one side, Davenport on the other, and then Hutch over one of the guards. I don't like that because it exposes the edge.
This is a health issue. If Davenport was always healthy, then we wouldn't be talking about this. That's where the concern is, the depth combined with the health.
Well, he had to be productive too. Again, he hadn't been productive in 3 years, even when he played.
All you need is a guy that's average across from him, and then he benefits because of Hutch. It's like look at what happened in college with Ajabo.
Oh yeah,
what's happened to him?
Well, that's a good point. 248-539-9797. Texter says that the defense was top 10 even with the injuries, and that the town is obsessed with big name edges because of the quote media. John, I want your response to that coming up next. Plus the price to keep Brian Branch, it's soaring. How big a priority is he? We'll get to that.